That's all I hear. You know, they feel entitled to special attention, privileges, and consideration in social settings. Woo-hoo. Do they? That's why they want to change all of the rules, just to suit them, and and the rules have to be able to change as much as you know, their mood swings, which is completely unsustainable. The sense of entitlement also produces a feeling that they are entitled to punish those who do not provide the required respect, admiration, or attention. Sounds like all of the red pill's issues with women. It's not just women, dudes. It's narcissistic women that you are picking. Do not look for their attention. They are basically what the succubus would be in real life. Imagine you are playing a role playing game in 3D, full VR, full immersion. You have to be able to look out. You're not gonna see a fucking square box like an isekai game where you can see the stats and the type of human that it is or whatever shit. You're just gonna have to figure it out. You're gonna have to gain some experience in life, get some wisdom in your bones, and learn how to discern people that are crazy. They easy peasy one. Just look into their eyes. They all have the same eyes. If once you meet one, don't forget their eyes, the expression in their eyes. You are gonna see it in others. Stay away from those people. Okay. Okay. Let's go. Let's keep watching the.
And I
Yeah.
saw the industry
Hmm.
and its giants rise, and I saw them
Sure.
fall. I saw all of the elements that went into a catastrophic failure for those industries. And at that,
Yeah, it's super common. It happens all the time. This is what the problem. You ban them for having an opinion? I do. I ban people for just being hostile and vitriolic and rude for with no reason and no explanation other than I don't like this person. It's annoying and obnoxious. Like it's one thing to type something out and say like, "Okay, I don't like this person," right? Or whatever. But like for you to go on and like start making a bunch of bullshit up and say like, "Oh, this person's fake. He's doing this on purpose. He doesn't really think this." You don't even know them. Like, what are you talking? Like, why are you even talking like this? What are you thinking? Right? And it's like the kind of people that act and think like that.
I'll be honest. That's kind of gay from Asman, but I mean it's okay. It's his group chat, and he's probably thinking about like just keeping the peace, right? But personally, I would just be laughing at those comments. I would be like, dude, they were fucking dumb. Like, unless they were, they were to like go far above what they were typing at, that Asman showed, But if they stayed at that level, like I would just be laughing, like, dude. I don't know if you're trolling me. Like, I wouldn't be able to take it seriously, really.
Are there's like a very like there's a type of like it's like a type of species on Twitch that is constantly trying to root out inauthenticity. And I think this is really I think this is like the biggest like loser contingency of Twitch users. And the reason why is because they think that they can perceive authenticity through a camera. You can't. Speaking as somebody who knows many streamers and many people behind camera, the public does not have the ability to discern what is and is not authentic.
Yeah, no.
You think that you do
You
because
think
of confirmation bias.
Logan Paul would not be
But
as fucking
a lot of like
mercy
that
as
group of people,
is.
they are like, and I think also like another reason it's body
Fucking
language.
idiots,
Yeah,
dude.
but there's a reason why body language isn't used in court. The reason why is because it's not verifiable. Dunning-Kruger-Rangers, yeah, exactly. And so there's a huge contingency of people on the internet that are like constantly fixating on trying to. And I have no problem if you want to say somebody's doing something that's fake for views, but like you have to have a reason for it, right? You have to have some sort of justification for why you're saying this. Like, I have no problem with an accusation like that,
I mean,
but
not
for you to
really.
just say this is what's happening
You can
is
just say
retarded.
It is
And
retarded, but
especially
maybe
when you're
that's the point.
spamming about this.
The point is
Like, it's one thing,
retarded.
like, yeah, it's just that you can lie with body language. No, you can lie with body language. You can use body language to identify lies. All of these things are percentages of probabilities. Like, maybe this is the case, maybe it's not.
I mean,
Meet Matterport, the
some
market-leading
views
3D
are
platform that lets
really
anyone turn a physical space
telling, and you don't
into
really have
an
to
immersive digital
investigate more
twin.
than that.
Homes,
You see
offices,
it,
factories,
you leave.
shops, museums,
Yeah, it's like it's the eyes for me.
Difference between this is fake,
don't
and I
even
just
know.
feel it's fake. Anytime that people, as I said,
I admit.
I think it is internet autism that people think that they can determine whether something is fake by watching some person act on camera or not.
Also, I'm gay.
You can't tell. You don't know. And I'm telling you this as somebody who knows these people behind camera, not this one specifically, but just in general. What the public's perception of different people on the internet is not reality, even though they think it is.
Exactly. Because they're gay.
They don't know what they're
fucking
talking
gay.
about.
They don't know what they're talking about. They're fucking idiots, dude. They're monkeys.
Point, I was working with industry veterans and I was new. They threw me into the deep end to see if I would sink or swim. They wanted to see what I would do in a professional environment, and I learned from the very best. And unfortunately, I lacked the experience, the wisdom, and the confidence to do anything about the things that I saw going wrong. So what happened in the photography and photo marketing industry is people exactly like Kathleen Kennedy came into CEO roles and upper management, and they destroyed everything. And I couldn't understand it at the time. I didn't have enough experience and insight. And I understand now that this movement that we have been seeing over the past few years that they call feminism is not feminism. The only thing that I can describe it is neo-feminism. It is not about equality. It is about superiority. And I will get back to that topic later on in the video. But basically, these people enter spaces where they don't really have actual interest in. They just want control and a sense of power. And they want people who echo the same ideological and political views and agendas as them, people that will echo them.
Okay, so one of the traits of narcissistic people and like cluster B people, they have monkeys, right? They have people that they dominate that follows them. But that's why they only want to that's why all of the structures that they become a head of end up rotting from the inside out, because the only people that are allowed to operate alongside them and their explosive and unrealistic, illogical way of being, way of thinking, way of acting are the people that are pushovers, are the people that will never say no to them, and are the people that they can manipulate, and the people that will tell them what they want to hear, that will reinforce their sense of identity. Because once again, they have problems with keeping a sense of identity, and they depend on others to keep their sense of identity. So yeah, anyone that has more talent than them, anyone that makes them feel envious or jealous, like I said before, right? That's why I read the terms of that shit. Anyone that disagrees with them will be out, or their life will be made hell until they live, right? Because that's the way they operate, and I know this because I've lived with people like this all of my life. I unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because it's given me the ability to see crazy people miles away, right? But it's been a hard time too. It's been a real hard time because it when you are in that environment and you are one of those pushovers, you're constantly walking on eggshells. You're constantly tense and interactions are all like very ritualistic. Like you have to move a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, etc., etc. There's like a lot of no interaction is like normal and fluid. It cannot be by the nature of who they are. They will get triggered for any sudden movements. So yeah, it's like what he says is completely accurate. It's completely accurate. There's nothing else I can say. It's like that's who they are. That's why none of the shows that they've been making have been any hits, and it's not really about them being led by women because I have a bunch of games that are led by women. I have a bunch of games that I like playing as a female character. Like, for example, Devil May Cry gives me the ability to play as Trish and as the other chick. I'm playing that shit, right? I like it. It's good. It's good because it's a good game, and then I'm playing it with a cute girl. It's great. Bayonetta, Darksiders 3, Final Fantasy, Type 0 HD. You can play it with female characters. They're all very pretty. What else? Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. I'm playing a female character. Other side. All female characters. Titanfall 2. I can play as a female. Okay? And I can be, just like a good soldier. XCOM. I can also play as females. Alice. Madness Returns. Great game. Also female lead. But it's a great game. It's a great story. It makes sense. Crazy Taxi. You can drive as a girl. You can drive as well as the dudes. Gun Valkyrie. Love playing as a girl. Love it. Great character design. Great game. The controls are bullshit, but it's a great game, okay? And it has a female lead. Great game still, right? And it's not woke. Jade Empire has a woman in the forefront of the cover. Was not really a big hit, but that was because of the time it was released and how it was released. It should have been released in the Xbox 360 as a launch title, and it would have been amazing because it's an amazing game. You can also play it as a woman, and all of the dialogue options and the combat is still great, top notch. It's a good game. Knight's Journey into Dreams. You can also play as a female. It's also a great game. Panzer Dragoon Orta. You also play as a female, actually. It's a great game, okay? Onechamara. The Onechamara franchise. You play only as women. They are all in bikinis. And it's a great zombie slaying game. Okay? It's fun. It's great. Tomb Raider Underworld, Tomb Raider Classic, Tomb Raider Legend. You play as a female. She is great. The game is great. It's all fun. No one is getting mad playing as female. What people are getting mad is playing as bad characters in bad games with bad stories. That's all that it is. Whoops. I think I'm gonna have to read. No! No! The was that? No. This is truly disturbing. Dude, have I been muted all of this time? I'm gonna cry, dude. It's not fun. That is not phony macaroni, baby Roni. Dude, I'm so mad. Dude, oh fuck, no. No, wait, no, I wasn't. I wasn't. I remember this. I was not muted, okay? I was not muted. I was just muted because I disconnected the thing. Okay. Yep, no, I'm here. It's all clear. It was never lost. Okay. So we were saying people are just tired. People are not tired of playing as female characters in games. People are tired. People are not tired about seeing female leads in movies. No, or series. What people are tired of is being lectured, being mistreated, being shamed, and stepped on, and humiliated, and called names, and be represented in a way that is negative just for the heck of it, just to be cruel, just for the revenge, right? That's what people are really against. It's like they're against bad movies, bad games, bad music, bad series. That's what the problem is. But once again, it's because we are looking at the takeover of the little crazy people. It's all cluster V's. Believe me, I know it's just a hypothesis of crazy person in the internet that doesn't seem to be all there, you know. But it is the truth, and it's not because it's me that it's saying it. It's because that's what's happening. Okay, that is what is happening. So, I mean, we gotta look at things as they are.
Tear down anyone who doesn't agree with them and put in those people,
Yeah, he's completely right.
even if those people are ill-suited to the roles in which...
Exactly.
That's exactly what happens.
This is
Yeah,
what we
it's
have
because
been
these people think that their
discussing.
ideology makes them. The problem is the emotional elevation of ideology.
Yeah, and this is what everyone has been discussing, like regarding series and video games. It's like, why the fuck are those people working on our games? Like, why do you have a bunch of chicks developing Halo? Come on, dude. It's like, have them develop, I don't know, the new Viva Pinata. Maybe they do a great job at that. Maybe they are able to create, really really cozy video game that's really cute. It's really rounded. It has its place. You can make little fun, simple games and all that. But you get the dudes to work in the Cool War game, okay? You get the dudes to design the armor. You get the dudes to design the weapons, to design the sound for the weapons in the world, because it's a matter of taste. It's a matter of how we grow up, and the information that we have available that is more attractive to people that are either male or female. So there are certain things, certain ideas, right, that as a male you're attracted to naturally, that you resonate with naturally, like fighting and like shooting things and doing shit like that gets you moving. That's testosterone talking, okay? And I don't say this from like an ideological standpoint. I say this as someone that decided to look like this, right? But still very much recognizes my male nature, right? It's like I still think like, yeah, it's like I know I like doing like, I don't know, like running around and and just wanting to punch stuff. Like I felt all of those things when I was a teenager. Okay, that's completely biological, right? And then I see the same thing happen with the male children that are born in my family, right, or in the family of my my girlfriend, or someone else that I know, or just people, just seeing how people are. And a lot of these kids, and the kids that I know personally, are not being like strongly gendered by their parents. It's not like they're saying like, oh, grab the dinosaur, or oh, grab the Barbie. It's like, a child of 2 years old is just, like a male child, 2 years old. He's already like trying to do things that are related to physical mobility, and you can see it like exploring his physical power. He's like testing his physical abilities. And I saw his sister, and I've seen like some of my nephews and some of my cousins, when they were smaller, and they all exhibit like certain behaviors that just come out naturally, right? Just the kids just do it. And the same thing for the females. So not being able to like even recognize that and talk about that honestly, even though there are outliers, right? That does not disprove what the rule is. So when you get a bunch of women to design a game that has a primarily male audience, of course you are going to fail. You are going to fail because chances are you are not going to get the few women that actually understand the game, the original games, for example, for what they were, and that actually can share the same feeling of like love for the guns, for the sounds, for the world, for the type of narrative and characters that are in the game, because they were originally created by a group of male friends, right, that were trying to recreate the essence of other games that they played that were highly testosterone combat competitive fuel driven. They were the bro games of the 90s, like Quake and Doom and stuff like that. Okay, like Unreal Tournament. And it's like if you get a bunch of women that have never been interested in blood or in any of those sort of things, dismemberment and carnage and just like deep voices and gut punching and shit like that. It's like they've never been attracted to that shit. They're not gonna start being attracted to it, and they're not gonna understand it at like a conceptual or like a primal level, like a dude that just naturally resonates with that. And then it's like, and you can see it. Like, I remember when I played the 2016 version of Unreal Tournament that Epic was developing alongside the community. And it was so perfect. The sounds, the voices, the way the letters came out whenever you did something, it's like how the game presented the information. It was like the weapons, the environments, the way the game felt and all that. Um, it was so perfect. It was so perfect. You can see it so clearly where the meeting points of people that are just naturally driven to something specific, although maybe as individuals we cannot like pinpoint it. If we are requested to like explain it, we can definitely recognize it. And you see that happen naturally in games where the community is like really involved. That's the whole thing with like mods in video games, right? It's like the best mods are the ones that more people resonate with, and the fact that there are so many mods that people resonate with, and how they like spring up, from like the mass of the internet. That's amazing. But that, once again, that exemplifies just how many people find this point of communion, right? And you notice, and it's mostly males. It's mostly males. And there's a reason for that, obviously. The same thing with like Star Wars. Star Wars is originally it's a story of the relationship of a son with his father and what that means for him as a person. It's a grown up saga basically. It's like becoming it's maturing, right? You cannot then say like, "Oh, Star Wars is now for girls." That's like just being a bully. That's just being a bully. You're not really you don't want to make a successful saga. You don't want it. Like you don't want that, and that is why you are doing like such an obvious such an obvious like it's basically like it's literally like saying fuck you to everyone that's been involved with this. It's like you are relishing in the idea that you are breaking the hearts of so many males around the planet, right? Of all ages. You're like, oh yeah, I just fucked them all over. I'm such a fucking strong woman. Yeah, look at me, huh? Even though I'm fucking ugly, right? And I look like a fucking man. My name is Caitlin Kennedy, and my name will be remembered. I destroy Star Wars. That right? But it's like, okay, well, it's easy to destroy something, especially when you have millions and millions of dollars and control over thousands of people, right? Oh, it's so easy to take a legacy that was created over decades and just shit on it. Woo! You are so powerful. Oh my god. I've never seen a goddess in the flesh, but that's probably Caitlin Kennedy and the likes, right? Right? That's what they want everyone to say. But the reality is that while it's easy for them to shit on things that are already built, it's not so easy to create something that people actually care for, right? So while you are happy shitting on Star Wars as a whole, people just do this. This is where Disney Star Wars starts. People just go like, black, and then they just look this way, and it's a finished story. Okay, this is all there was. This is all there is. We live over here. You live over there, right? That's what you do. Like, and while you may bask in the glory of destroying so many people's hopes and dreams, what does that really get you? But someone with a personality B disorder, with a cluster B personality disorder, they would do something like that because they're crazy.
And people think that their ideology is them literally fighting against like genocide or some sort of like crazy like emotional like fixation.
That's what,
And I think what happens is that they get so emotionally fixated on it that then they view anybody who disagrees with them as like literally a Nazi.
they
right?
just
It's-
want to
yeah,
justify
they
their
turn
anger
their
issues.
opinions into the fight between.
Once again, one of the issues here was they have okay, I'm gonna give you a couple. Okay. Let's see. Inappropriate yet tense yet intense anger. Inappropriate yet intense anger. That sounds a lot like inappropriate yet intense anger. That is just trying to justify itself for existing.
Between good and evil. And I think when you do that, it becomes a lot easier to dehumanize another person and to treat them extremely badly.
Exactly, that's what they want to do. That's why they always go for the low blows, like, oh, he raped me.
They are working. And people like Kathleen Kennedy destroyed the photography and the photo marketing industry. I watched companies that seemed like they were too big to fail be utterly destroyed by people
like
who came
Ubisoft.
in not because they cared about the work, not because they cared about the industry.
there's this, yeah.
They didn't care about the consumer or the end product. They only cared about their own ego and taking control and
course.
assuming power. And that will
This is the same with everything. Like, this isn't anything that's unique with like any political ideology. This is just the way that people are.
That's
He's
cluster
right.
B personality
and
disorder.
that is why
It's
I'm
not
speaking
what
up
people
for
are.
the games
It's
industry,
just the stuff
because
that
what I
people are
watched
crazy.
firsthand right in front of me happen to photography companies and in the photo marketing industry that is happening right now in the games industry. And I can clearly see, with my own eyes, I can very clearly see it. We're going to have a disaster on our hands in the game industry. But I know that there is still time. If we all work together, we absolutely...
I don't think that it's really going to be a disaster in a lot of cases. I think what ends up happening is that there's always going to be time for a market correction, because you're already seeing a lot of these types of games get like, there's no way that the executives aren't seeing the failures of games like Concord or Forspoken that are like massively heavily invested games. And not learning a lesson from that. It's very obvious that companies are learning lessons from this.
I mean, if
And
they keep
also,
hiring
if
the
the
same
companies
crazy
don't want to
people.
learn a lesson, then they can make whatever they want to make, but people just aren't going to play it. And I think that's what's really happened. Or scrambling? Yeah, exactly. Indie games are doing better than ever. Well, indie games are, and that's the thing, right? Is that more and more the barrier to entry for making video games is becoming lower. And
That is so true. It's like, even I remember I started seeing I started investigating about engines like Unity and Unreal Engine. I think around 2008 or maybe 2009, something like that, you know. And I remember it was so advanced even back then, and now it's even easier. Now you don't even need to know how to code. You can just learn the dragging and joining type of thing. I've never invested time in doing it because I don't have like a good enough computer and haven't had it. um, but um, but it's like that plus the marketplace. Like the marketplace as it is now, um, is way, 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 way more um, vast and varied as it's ever been. It's like it wasn't like that in 14 years ago. Um, so it's advanced a lot. There's a lot more information about how to do things. There's a lot of more like pre-made presets for different types of game, like a platformer and stuff like that. And thinking about that and comparing it to making a game in 1990, right, or like 2000. Imagine, like, you can definitely do a Banjo Kazooie clone in your computer by yourself in like a year, right? If you invest like most of your time in it, like a 40-hour week or something, I'm sure you can do it. Like, if you want to do just like a clone, right? I mean, really, really thinking about it, it's like you can make like a semi good normal platformer by yourself or with like a 6-person team, something like that. Something that 20 years ago would have been an endeavor that required hundreds of thousands of dollars or even like a couple millions of dollars and a bunch of people. and equipment that was hard to get, that was expensive. And then you had to like learn different types of codes or create your engine from the ground up and all that. It's way, way different. You were also like limited by technology, right? Like how to move files, like how to optimize for consoles or computers at the time. I mean, that's why indie games are now becoming like way, way stronger, and I love that. I think that's the future.
And the barrier to publishing video games and to distribution of video games is like extremely low. Think about how hard it would be to get everybody to play your game in 1995 or in 2005. But now you have Steam, you have these indie games, you have these tools. Like, you have so many tools and like opportunities for mass distribution that were just not available anymore, or not available back then. And now they are. And so now, if you don't like the kind of game like that is, we've had other big games fail hard before Concord. Yeah, sure. But things take a long time for them to change.
We can put the ship back on the right direction. So, with my games, they all have been quite small over the past years, and I appreciate everyone who's been understanding and been supporting and cheering on my games. Lately, I've just been planning and working on very small games, stuff that I can make in a short amount of time and that I can ship so I can keep paying my bills. Generally, I try to aim probably more than what I'm currently capable of, but that is part of my personal endeavor to continue pushing myself, to keep improving, to keep getting better, and to make better games than I did previously. I just want to keep improving. But lately, my games have been quite small. I don't talk a lot about my personal life because that's not really why we're here. So the reason why a lot of my games, or all my games, are quite small right now is over the past year, I've been volunteering at a local cancer hospital.
Okay, here we go.
And I've been playing music. I've been going to the hospital with a fiddle, and I sit in the sort of the public area, and I just play, traditional music, just something that's easy to listen to, something calming, something to cheer people up. And the staff come to me throughout the day, and they're so grateful that at least I was able to brighten up their day even a little bit. People that are receiving treatments will often come down from their rooms.
You have to admit that, like, it's really fucking funny that this guy who's volunteering at a cancer hospital playing a fiddle for the people with cancer is somehow been kicked out of volunteering for the cancer hospital because of his opinions that he has about video games or something. Like, it's really, when you take a step back and you really think about how retarded that is, it's really kind of impressive.
We found out of the many prototypes that we made that actually there was only 3 new abilities that actually made sense to complement the core of the original game. Mickey is now able to sprint through the world faster than ever before. We've adjusted the enemy AI so that Mickey may need to avoid more attacks. With the new dash ability, he's able to get out of the way quickly. My favorite ability in the game, and what I see as a staple of the 3D platforming genre, is the ground pound.
Now that ad actually proves one of my points. It's like, look, they're remaking a game from 15 years ago. See, that's what I mean. It's like, because it's a better game than whatever they can do now. Okay.
It is. It's amazing.
Thank me for, sharing some music with them, and friends and family who are visiting and supporting their loved ones going through treatments have thanked me for that. And I don't receive any money for that. I don't brag about it. And I do it because I understand what it feels like to stare down the barrel of a gun that's aimed at someone else, and you feel utterly powerless and helpless to help someone. One thing that I find as I grow older and older is I feel increasingly frustrated understanding how little I can actually do for other people. I wish that there was more that I could do to help people. I wish there was something I could do to make people's lives better. And the older you get, the more you realize...
Yeah, I feel like that's something that a lot of people deal with. Like, for me especially, like, there's a lot of people that ask me for help with stuff. Like, it's a lot. And I try to help people, right? I do. But man, it can be a lot.
How little you are capable of when it comes to that. And so this is something that I can do. Yes, it takes a certain amount of time away from my work schedule. It takes a certain amount of my focus away. I should be entirely focused on my work, on my career, on advancing my studio and making more games. But I've chosen this. I have chosen to spend time at the cancer hospital, because even if it's just a little bit, at least I can help someone see that there is hope, that there can be light at the end of the tunnel. And we all know how these things go. Cancer treatments don't always work out. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And it's the fear of not knowing. It's wondering if you're ever going to get to see your loved ones again. It's knowing that they probably only have until the end of the year.
Oh, jeez.
And it breaks my heart that people that live on Twitter that don't spend any time in the real world
Here we
that are
go.
now infesting all these different industries like movies and TV and video games.
And
They
the work
don't
environment
have
in
this kind of
general.
understanding of the world. They don't have compassion for other people.
No, they don't. They don't. They and this is really the truth, is that a lot of people are extremely vengeful and angry and vitriolic.
Yep.
And what they do is that they look for somebody that they can use as an outlet for that vitriol that is an
Exactly.
acceptable target.
Yeah.
So, like, as soon as they find somebody who they can dehumanize enough to where they can justify treating them really badly, this is when they're really that's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
And like, so this is one thing that I generally believe, is that if you want to figure out why a person does something, figure out what they're getting out of it. And if you can figure out what they're getting out of something, it all makes sense. And I think in this circumstance, a lot of people love the privilege, the moral privilege of being able to effectively curb stomp somebody in the name of, being the.
It's not even about the moral privilege. It's just about them feeling justified in front of others to act out their sick mental state out on others. Because cluster B people are highly confrontational. They're always looking for problems. They will always try to attack you. Literally, the better person that you are, the more likely that you also are of being, the recipient of some of these people attention, which you don't really want to.
Good guy, effectively, right? Like, you want to figure out a way to be the good person for justice, right? Exactly. It's a power trip. Yes,
It is a power trip.
All they care about is themselves and
they do.
forcing their political views on people. And then they cry and get angry when there's any sort of criticism.
Well, it's not about their political views. The political views are simply a vehicle to
Exactly.
to hold their ego.
If Catholicism
So, like, a lot of these
was the
people,
way
like,
for them
they
to get
have
that
these
same
political
power, they
views,
would
sure,
all be Catholics.
but like in many cases with people like this that I've known more personally, they're actually very domineering and aggressive and disagreeable about everything. And I think that it's like kind of, like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And these people, this is simply a manifestation of this personality.
Si quieres hacer más dinero haciendo streams, debes streamear en Kick. Los streamers de Kick se quedan con el 95% de las ganancias, 100% de las donaciones y tienen menos reglas y regulaciones fastidiosas. Empieza a streamear en Kick.
Yeah, ya estoy estudiando aquí.
We're going to recapture my creatures, but need our help.
And there's no
It's
room
really
for them
about
to gain
power and
any
control and
understanding,
making
any
themselves look
improvement
good.
as a person, to become a better human being. They've closed themselves off to that, and it just breaks my heart.
Exactly. They don't
Because
really
one day
care.
they will be in a position in their lives where they'll
Because believe me, I've talked
they'll
with them.
need
They don't care.
that experience and those skills to be able to handle what's coming their way, and they won't have that.
Well, that's when they delete their account and they put it on protected.
That's when they become.
And yeah,
old.
it's these people, and also like they don't have any of these skills because a lot of these people are like weird losers. And the thing is that if you were able to look at and review the lives of the people that have these really strong opinions on the internet, you would realize that they're worth pretty much nothing.
You realize
These are
they're all
people that aren't
supposed to be.
successful. They're weirdos. They don't know how to act around other people. Like, as I've
bones,
said, I think that how many of you guys know people that are like this in your personal life, and you've been able to watch them grow up and get older, and in school they were disagreeable, annoying, people didn't like them, and then they have evolved into this. Because that's what I've discovered. That's what I've observed myself.
Same.
Yeah, it's in mirror. Exactly, yeah.
And so I just want to share with you my personal frustration in that I've lost my opportunity to volunteer at the cancer hospital.
Why?
And the reason why I've lost that opportunity
here we go.
is because people from that woke community, the neo-feminists, who do not care about anything but taking control at all costs. They want control, they want power, they want to tear down men. They entered the sort of the arrangement at the hospital, and they wanted to have a tight control over everything. And anyone who did not bend the knee, they bullied and pushed out.
Classic.
And so I had been volunteering at the cancer hospital for about a year, and then these woke neo-feminists came in and assumed control and exerted their power in a way that made the environment unpleasant and unmanageable. And so I was pushed out of that environment because I would not bend the knee to these neo-feminists who the internet would describe as woke. But it's more than just woke. It's neo-feminism, and it's not about them fighting for equality. It's them fighting for superiority and control. They don't.
I think this is a huge problem. And I don't think it's a feminist exclusive problem. I think that guys have this happen too.
It's cluster V type personality. They are crazy. Look up the DSM-5 detailed description of what cluster B personality types are.
Too.
You'll
It's hard
see
to really
all-
know exactly what
all of
happened, right?
the-
Because he's talking in such abstract
The
terms.
reasons why they say
but-
those things and they act like that.
What I've noticed a lot of,
Okay, good.
and like I remember a really good example of this is, remember when I was watching that video of the Taliban telling women that they couldn't talk in public anymore? There was a huge amount of like comments in the chat from, I would assume, guys that were spamming based for the Taliban, right? Like they were super, super happy about it. And I think that what's happened is that as people and like genders have been more and more radicalized to become like, distrustful of each other, what's ended up happening is that you have these groups of people. It's like, you don't really hate, like with these women, right? You don't hate men. You hate your ex-boyfriend or you hate your dad.
Exactly.
And like with guys, it's like, you don't really hate women. You're just mad your mom treats you this way, or you're mad that your last girlfriend cheated on you. And so I think that there's all these times where people are effectively adopting ideologies in order to cope with personal trauma. And I think that's what happens with, like any sort of extreme feminism, any like red pill stuff, anything like this. Because if you're actively going out and trying to like suppress another group of people.
And it's also when you stop interacting with people as individuals and you start acting with individuals as if they are representations of a group or an archetype, an idea that is not actually who they are as a person, which is the same thing feminists do to men or to males, right? Like they don't see the individual males as individuals, they just see it all as the patriarchy.
You now are the aggressor. They're projecting. Yeah, they are. And I think that's what happens, is that people use these ideologies as a vehicle for them to express and work through their own personal unresolved trauma. And I see this all the time.
Care about the damage that they cause to the world around them. And I am upset, not for myself, but for the people that I was able to help even a little bit, to bring a little bit of brightness to their day. I no longer can do that in that environment. The other day, I had a disturbing conversation with a lady whom I previously had a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
And I was explaining my views that all people are equal. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what you call yourself with your pronouns. everyone is equal. Everyone should have an equal opportunity in the workplace.
Yeah, of course.
And she laughed in my face and she said, well, you're wrong. And I was shocked. I thought she was joking, so I froze. And I said, excuse me? I said, everyone is equal. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female, if you're the right person for the job.
Exactly.
You should have that job. And she laughed and said, you're wrong. And she said her reasoning is for too long, men have been in control, and we need to fix it.
Right.
See, but that's not actually a rational thought that she arrived at. She only wants to feel like she is in a position of power and control. And the best way to arrive at that is to find an ideology that justifies her just having power and control because of the genitals she was born with, and not actually if she's actually qualified for the job, right? Or if she's actually qualified for a leadership position. No, she, thanks to her ideology, she is completely justified in taking the reins because women know better, and men are basically cavemen that are castrated by women, right, to like make them more manageable in society. Never mind. All we remember is mostly males thinkers, and they would like to make you believe that that is because there was an exclusion of women from expressing their ideas. But although that may be true in certain parts of the world and at certain times in the world, in different parts of the world, I think that also if you try and have a deep conversation with the females at your school, with the females at your workplace, and you know just whatever you interact with the female, and you have time to chat, try and have an actual deep conversation, an actual deep philosophical conversation, try and get into things at a deep level and see how far you can get in there. That's why we don't have as many women thinkers out there. Not that there cannot be women thinkers, there are, and they are very good, but it's like not a lot of them. There are not a lot of them. Okay, not as many as there are dudes thinkers. That is because we have different life experiences due to our genders and our biological makeup. That's what it is. Be right back. Be right back. Be right back. Mire. Órale. Con permiso, chiquillo.
Right.
And by saying we need to fix it, that means you are saying that something is broken.
Well, it's just, again, and I can guarantee you that, assuming all of this is true and this is what's happened. I mean, like, is it really hard for us to believe this? I feel like I've heard plenty of people talk like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this
You're
sounds
all-
like bad fan fiction. I'm not gonna lie. What do you
Heard it
mean?
in my
I see
house
people
all the
talking like this all the time on Twitter. Yeah, it's extremely common. To say that, like, this is not common is nuts. Heard this at my job? Yeah. Yeah, people, what they do, right? You just get, yeah, I think that if you really knew who this person was and you knew everything about their life, you'd probably know that there's a reason why they think this way.
U.S. citizen, you can vote from here, and even here, using an absentee.
Some feminists now believe that it's men's time to suffer. Yeah, I think so. I think that, and this is basically what happens, right? Is there's like a certain subset of like hyper toxic feminism that fixates around making men live out the oppression or the bad experience that these women believe.
I mean, it's called feminism, right? But it really is just a bunch of vengeful people, a bunch of cluster bees getting together and taking the feminism banner and name, just plastering it all over and saying they are that. That's just a justification for their bad behavior.
Believe that women used to live out. That's basically what happens. I see this very regularly.
I had brought up the topic of how Ubisoft had a mentorship program that explicitly excluded males.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And I said, how is it fair that young men who want to have opportunities to work in this space, that is being taken away from them? Why? How is it fair that there are now organizations that are funding and companies that are hiring based on gender and excluding males? What am I supposed to tell young men who want to
And then they wonder why they have shit games, right?
have an equal opportunity to work in those career fields? Am I supposed to tell young men that they are inferior to someone else because of the way they were born?
Well, they're just offered less opportunities. It's not even being inferior. And the ironic thing is that the implication of needing mentorship programs for just women and non-binary people, which is what he was talking about, implies
those of us that are sane in humanity, we have to come to the agreement and the realization that academia is mostly retarded people, okay? Just because they get PhD doesn't mean they know shit. Like, look at the Reagan saga from the Olympics. That's a PhD, right? You only get PhDs if you're really intelligent. Well, not really, right? Since you can get a PhD and not even know what the fuck you are doing, or even have, like, self-awareness. I mean, you love hip-hop so much, right? That you took away the opportunity of truly talented people to participate in the Olympics for yourself. Now, that screams to me cluster B, really. Highly egoistical. Doesn't care about others. They vastly exaggerate their talent and their achievements. Woohoo! That sounds like Reagan. Now, what happens when you start fast-tracking people into your company to fulfill roles that require true intelligence, true mathematical ability, planning, forethought, passion, knowledge? What happens when you are fast-tracking people just because of their gender or their genitalia and not on their ability to actually do the job? What happens when you repeat that over years and you exclude all of the talent over your quotas for gender equality, which again is not equality. Their actions contradict their words, and actions are worth more than words.
Is that they're the ones that are inferior, right? Because they need this extra help. So I find this to be very problematic. I do. And I feel like it's actually just such a extremely easy way to look at the world, right? It's that if you're treating a person differently because of something that they don't have control over, like their gender or their race, you're doing something that's bad. It's bad to do that. Like, I feel like it's such a simple concept that nowadays seems to be lost. Yeah, why is it so hard to be human to them? Well, the reason why is that
they're cluster B. They are crazy. Their minds don't work properly, okay? They don't care. They just want to exercise their power over you and see you as a maggot, and they want to reaffirm their grandiose idea of who they are supposedly.
that, as I said before, if you really knew who these people were and you knew enough
Cluster B
about their personal life, you could probably understand exactly why they have the viewpoints that they do. It's the same as like how, you know how like this is like kind of a pretty simple example, right? Where like a lot of college students are in favor of student debt forgiveness, and a lot of people that are
Now look this up. Cluster B type of personality happens more in females than males, but males are recognized more because when you are a male asshole, you know, you don't get as many passes as the chick that's a female asshole that everyone wants to fuck.
that are millionaires are conservative. It's because most people's political views and most people's ideology just reflects what's in their own best interest. It's not really something that's arrived at by a principle or by any sort of ethical or moral investigation. It's something that's arrived at from working backwards from what is beneficial for me and how can I make this seem like this is the way the world should be. And that's the way that most people have worldviews. That's the way that most people think. And so when you see a bunch of women or people getting together and making opportunities for other women, well, that's because they're doing it in benefit of themselves. That's the reason why. It's that simple. It's the same reason why people are celebrating the Taliban being the fucking Taliban. It's because they view that to be on the same side as them. That's why it happens. And I think also there's a huge problem nowadays that I feel like there is a tremendous amount of, and I don't think this is white guilt, I think this is first world guilt and privilege guilt. And I'm seeing this a lot nowadays where you have people that are fully aware of the inadequacy and the
Here's the thing, having guilt about your privilege, is stupid. Okay. If you realize you have a privilege, you look for a way to exercise that privilege in a way that benefits others, not only you. Self-immolation is idiotic, okay? If you want to do something good for others, just do something good for others. Don't destroy yourself. That's stupid.
The like injustice of the world, right? Like, how is it fair that because of Spawn RNG, you live in $100,000 or $1 million house, and you can go to a good school, but some other kid has bad Spawn?
How do I create? How can I use my influence? How can I use my position in life and the knowledge that I gain so that I can help create a world where more people are born with good RNG spawn location? Right? That's what you do.
On RNG, he's in
You don't
Africa,
say
and now he's
white
a
men
Joseph
bad.
Punish child army, right? Definitely not so good. And so people are able to like internalize that, and they see that, and they realize that they've had a tremendous, and by the way, everybody here is a tremendous beneficiary of privilege. We live in a country, you speak one of the most spoken languages English that is in like the first world countries. Many people speak English. Huge advantage. You have access to technology. You have access to high-speed internet. Like you already have like a tremendous amount of privilege just by the fact that you're here. And so a lot of people, when they realize that, and I think this is especially true for like upper middle class people, is that they realize that they have this tremendous amount of privilege and they have a profound amount of guilt because of that. And so what they do is they look for a way that they can nail themselves up on a cross. Because I think that like suffering is part of the core human condition. And that's why I think, for example, Catholicism is extremely popular, right? Almost all religions are built around, or at least like Western religions, are built around some component of inherent evil. And I think the reason why is that it justifies suffering, and suffering is part of the human.
It creates a hack in your mind, so psychologically you always doubt yourself. It makes you easier to control if you constantly think that you're an evil person inherently. Instead of realizing just by living life, babies are not evil, okay? I've never met a baby that's evil. Just because, right? If a baby is a little asshole, if a little kid is a little asshole, you are surely going to be dealing with asshole parents, okay? That's it. It's not inherent of the human condition. And the idea, that it has taken root in most people's mind is highly I don't want to say misanthropic, but it's like anti-human idea, right? This idea that humans are evil by nature. It's like, no, fuck off with that. People are blank slates at best, right? Or at worst. People are blank slates at worst when they are born, okay? Safe for like genetic proclivities and all that, but humans are not evil by default. Maybe some people are born, like psychopathic or something, but it's not the vast majority, okay? We wouldn't get to this level of civilization if everyone was like that in real life, dealing with other people and not being an asshole yourself. You're gonna realize that most people are just good people, right? No one is perfect, but most people are not fucking assholes, okay?
Human condition, and people actually perceive that to be a good thing, and they seek that out. And so it's virtue signaling. It's virtue signaling. But why is it virtue signaling? It's virtue signaling because they are aware of how privileged they are and how much of a huge opportunity they have, and they can't cope with that because it's not congruent with the way that they see themselves. And I understand like this is like a really, really long tangent, but I think that's why it happens. It's because these people are aware, and they're not wrong either. It's just that the way that they behave is wrong. Is this resolving anything though? I think it is. If understanding what a problem is very like you can't. How can you solve a problem if you don't know what it is? How can you stop something from happening if you don't know why it's happening?
Exactly. That is why I was saying, like, feminism in 2024 in like all woke movements are not interested in the slightest in actually finding a solution, because if they did, they wouldn't be making so many troubles out of nothing, right? I remember back in 2008, I used to have long hair, but I was not yet gay or or bisexual or trans, right? I was just like kind of emo looking, right? But I wasn't too emo looking. Like I wasn't wearing makeup. I just had long hair and I wore like video game shirts or like comic shirts, right? And like tight fitting black jeans. And people would like want to fight me and my friends just because of us having like long hair and dressing in black and liking video games. That was in 2008. People were still like actively attacking you if you like video games, comics, anime, right? Right now, it's like I can go out in a dress with a skirt in Mexico, and really, I like 99% of the time I have no issues. Okay, to me, that's pretty good. Okay,
Because
much
of their
better than
gender,
before.
they deserve less opportunities.
Yeah, of course.
And they are an inferior person.
Yeah, I wonder what her relationship with her dad is.
Yeah,
What was her relationship with her last 3 boyfriends?
yeah. But you know, once again,
Because that is what this
people in cluster B personality, they are unable to keep relationships because they are unstable. They are always paranoid. That's why they are always the victim, although they are always the aggressor in reality.
lady was saying.
Let's be real.
And
Right?
eventually she just nodded and shrugged and walked away. And that is what we're dealing with here. These neo-feminists that are online, they are not people who care about equality.
No.
They don't care about the damage they're causing. They only care to serve themselves. They want control. They want superiority. They do not want equality. And I've been so disturbed from that conversation because I was utterly disgusted that this was someone that I knew in real life. And that we had this discussion and I said, everyone is equal, and she said, no, you're wrong.
Yeah, of course.
This is the mentality that we are harboring and growing on Twitter. And we cannot...
Well, the reason why is it's a bunch of people who are disaffected and angry about the position that they're in. They feel like they've been mistreated, that people don't like them, that the world...
Cluster B people always feel like that. It doesn't matter if you treated them just like a normal person and you were just being normal. If they imagine that you slighted them in the slightest, they will take actions. Okay, they are crazy. Once again, this is all cluster B type people.
world is out to get them or something like that. And the thing is that people are not equal. They're not. Like, straight up. There are some people who are just born losers. They're dumb. They're never really going to amount to anything. They're just like, you know, you spawn in and you have a random amount of talent points. Some people have 5 and some people have 50. That's just the way it is. But treating everybody equally is very different than everybody being equal. And I think this is a big problem that a lot of people don't really understand, is that there is an inherent unfairness. Like, and I noticed this whenever I was in, like, school, right? Because, like, there would be some people that could just never figure out math. And it's like, is multiplication really that hard for you? And they just can't figure it out. This is a massive fucking debuff.
It's some people are indeed born like dumber, right? There's all kind of things that can go wrong during a pregnancy that result in a child, you know, being mentally retarded. But also, a lot of this is due to those people not being properly nurtured during their developmental years. So they didn't develop the parts of their brain or the abilities that they had to develop at the time that they had to develop them. And that's why they are always out of the loop. And, you know, if you miss one formative step, you're gonna miss the following two, most probably, or you're gonna get them.
How bad your life
right.
must be. Like, this is gonna fuck you up for the rest of your life. Yeah, share the same brain cell. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, that's just the position they're in. I don't trust people who can't understand math. Well, they can't trust themselves. And so what I'm saying is that, like, people are not equal, but they need to be treated equal.
That is
That's the
correct.
difference.
Not allow that evil to spread any further, because that is what it is. To claim that someone else is inferior because of their gender, because of the way they were born, is not acceptable. That is evil. And we can no longer abide by that.
It's not that they, no, the problem, and if you ask the people that think like this, it's not that those people are evil. It's that, actually, yeah, it is. Like, basically. Never mind. Yeah, it is. Sorry, I was thinking about multiple things.
We can't overcorrect, and we can't fight that by saying,
misheard.
oh, women are wrong, women are worse.
Yeah.
No.
And you're seeing
Everyone
this
is-
too. You're seeing a huge, like the whole red pill Andrew Tate, like thing. Like here, I want to show you guys the Taliban interview. Basically, said women are banned in Afghanistan. Why is BBC being pretended to care about Afghanistan women? How to save them? I don't know. They didn't take control. They regained what was rightfully theirs.
I mean, there you have it.
Esto es kick.com.
They care so much about
female
female
podrás
freedom
hacer
around the
gaming,
world.
streams de tu vida.
But they'd rather just attack like dudes in their own country that are not doing anything, rather than going against like the people that are actively acting against the better.
I just want you guys to see that this is something that's manifesting itself all over on the internet. And to be honest with you guys, I'm surprised that there weren't more comments like that. Each of these extremes continually fuel each other. They do. Yeah, women need to help themselves. Everything won't work. I feel like the look said more terrorism on the future. Yeah. And so this is what's happened, right? Is like this mutual escalation has happened. And I think the reason why it's happened is because
Yes, definitely. Environmental real. The what? Come on, get the full screen. Come on, dude. Maybe I have to do this. Exit full screen. And then go full screen again. There we go. Nice. And it's like if we were talking to rational people, they would have no issue like recognizing that, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, I mean, obviously, right? It's like each individual should be treated correctly as a human, should be given the benefit of the doubt. If they do something that is evil or reprehensible, then you go ahead and. But a lot of us can agree on on some basics of what is truly reprehensible. Then you start getting into like subjective stuff, and that's where the issues arise. So war. Yeah, I always see it. It's the same. It's always the same arguments. By the way, they're not even like creative. Imagínate si hubiera tocado más abajo. That is what they want you to do. They're crazy. They're cluster B. Okay, so easy. There's cluster Bs in any aspect of life. So they can be conservative or progressive. It's like a cluster V could be a raging liberal progressive feminist, lesbian vegan, but it could also be Betty from Catholic Church. That is always so sanctimonious and is always looking for a way to justify releasing her righteous, God fearing anger on someone. It's the same people, it's just they use different skins.